Hi, everybody. We're just going to wait for all the attendees to join us. So welcome to the IADT Spotlight on Humanities and Arts Management. So we will be covering English and Equality Studies, New Media Studies, and Arts Management this evening. We have our main presenter, it's Dr. Kevin Wallace, the head of the department. We have Jakob here, who teaches across 3 programs. We have Diogo Connell, who teaches in New Media Studies, and Peter Wiedek will be joining us, or is here as well, and he will be talking about arts management. Callie Hardy is one of our student ambassadors in 3rd year, and we're delighted to have her with us. And I'm going to hand you all over to Kevin now. So enjoy. I'm going to be here in the background. Do you need me? All right. Thank you. Oh, sorry, you can ask questions in the questions box, the Q&A session towards the end, but you can start putting questions in now and we'll keep an eye on them as we go. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sonia, and you're all very, very welcome to tonight's Spotlight session. So we're going to begin by giving a short presentation and just familiarizing yourselves with the 3 programs on offer for September 2021. So the department is home to 3 programs: Arts Management, New Media Studies, and English and Equality Studies. So we're delighted to be bringing these to you this evening, and we're going to talk a little bit in general about each of the programs, what you can expect, how they're structured, and also the different access routes that you might be applying through. So I know we're talking to a lot of prospective students, to parents of students, but also we might be looking at people who might be considering coming through PLC or other different access routes. So we'll talk a little bit about all of that. So let's begin with Arts Management. And DLA 22 Arts Management is one of the most unique programs we have on offer in Ireland. It's the only program of its type. It's business with a twist. So it's a course that brings the business of the cultural industry and all the opportunities therein for 4 years of study. It's a really interesting format of a course because it's 4 years, and the 3rd year is 50% Erasmus study abroad or work placement. So it's a very practical course. Apart from that 50% of placement in 3rd year, we also have an extremely project-based and practice-based learning system that runs throughout this program. So if you're interested in music or theatre or the business of music and the business of theatre and the business of events and festivals, for example, this really is the course for you. A number of our graduates have gone on from this course, have gone on to work in areas like Michelle McCarthy or Helena Burns, who've gone on to work in the events industry. So Michelle has worked in Madison Square Garden in New York, and Helena Burns works for Castlepalooza. We've had numerous students who worked with people, with organizations like Body and Soul or Electric Picnic or at Castlepalooza. And various other festivals. We have a number of students who are working in Glastonbury, in the festival there as well. So obviously this is a difficult time for that industry. And we also have students who've gone on into different areas of business and the arts. So David Keegan, for example, is the founder and CEO of First Fortnight, which is a mental health advocacy organization that brings together business people and artists around the concept and the idea of mental health. And we also have people like Mark here who are directors, and also people who work in public relations and the more business end like the accounts or social media end of things like arts offices and other organizations. So Arts Management gives you a really strong business education as well as a strong cultural studies and cultural area education. and it brings the two together in one of the most practical ways you'll find in Ireland. So then the next course we're going to talk about is DL 837 New Media Studies. And we're delighted that this year is our first fourth year of that program. So we're graduating our first cohort of students this year from New Media Studies. And we're really delighted to be doing that. It's a relatively new course. It's a course that deals with all of the cutting edge different formats of media, new media as we call it, but it's also new and evolving or emerging media as well. So it's a very practical course, 50% practice-based. We use a lot of the staff and also the facilities of the National Film School in New Media Studies. So you have access to things like camera equipment, recording equipment, radio studios, and the TV studio. Again, half of its third year is based around placement or study abroad through Erasmus or Erasmus traineeship, which is work placement within the European Union. Now, these are really exciting opportunities that you have through New Media Studies. And again, a number of students have gone on to have excellent placements and to have really excellent opportunities based on that. The final year of the program sees students complete a final year project. Diogo might talk a little bit about this in a few minutes' time, which becomes a kind of a calling card or portfolio for you when you go out into the media industry. So it's a course that is eminently practical and also prepares you for the real world skills and the real world jobs that you're going to need to do in the media industry. So as you can see, the kind of careers that students studying this program might go on to attain are in the areas of broadcasting, media production, social media, content development, curation as well, journalism, advertising, public relations and marketing, blogging, YouTube or Twitch. And as I said, those social media and media platforms will continue to evolve, and the course will keep up to date with those evolving trends as well. And as well, podcasting, film and TV, as well as radio. And lastly, the third course that we're going to talk about today is DL 841 English and Equality Studies. So this is a new program, and it brings together the study of English literature, which we've been doing here at IDT for about 20 years, with equality studies, which is a new and emerging area and discipline in academia. Again, this is a unique program in Ireland. It's really exciting and innovative. It brings together that study of literature, whereby you're doing a lot of reading, you're learning about different forms of writing, you're learning a little bit of creative writing, and you're exploring that world through which you can go on to have careers in things like publishing, journalism, but also teaching if that's what you want to do. We've also had a number of students who've gone on from our English courses to become writers themselves. But we blend that study with equality studies. And this is an area that's made up of things like law, social studies, sociology, and the study of different forms of advocacy and social movements. And Jakub's going to talk to us a little bit about that in a few moments' time. So this is a really exciting course in a really exciting area. And the kind of jobs that you can go on to from the study of equality studies range quite broadly. So you've got like the kind of sociological, social work, law, also around the legal profession, the other jobs apart from being a solicitor. You can be an advocate, you can work in non-governmental organizations like UNICEF or the UN, or various lobby groups like the Migrant Rights Center or the social justice groups in various countries. As well as that, it prepares you for different forms of work and working that are available, that are becoming more and more important in the 21st century. So this is also something that's important in all walks of life and in all employment areas as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to welcome everyone back, and I'm going to hand over to Peter Wiedeck, who's the Program Coordinator of Arts Management, just to talk a little bit more about that course.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, my name is Peter Wiedeck. I'm the coordinator of Arts Management, and I also teach the financial management modules on the course. Like Kevin was saying earlier on, we do think of our degree as a kind of business qualification with a twist. It's a mix of business subjects, which really are in the realm of transferable skills. It's not heavy kind of business, and also very, very up to date. So we do, for example, digital marketing. We spend a lot of time in the labs in a lot of our subjects actually, and especially mine in financial management. And that means that students go on to do a whole host of things after the degree. Some veer more towards the art side or the creative side, some veer more towards the business side, the traditional business side, or a combination of both. So we see a lot of our postgraduates, a lot of our graduates, should I say, working in events, especially music is very popular nowadays, working in PR, digital marketing, and also in the traditional art spaces, in theatres, in museums, in art galleries, should I say. So very, very broad church. I suppose the most important part of the course, I would think, is third year when you do a placement or Erasmus. You can study in Europe, or you can actually do a work placement in Europe. And that's a very defining moment for a lot of our students. It's kind of a turning point where they begin to realize really where they're going with their career. And it's a great addition to their LinkedIn profile, to their CV. And then they come back into fourth year very much more sort of focused and developed, and then they go on and finish fourth year, and then go on and do further studies if that's what they want to do, or go into the world of work. And during the course, then it built up a network of contacts with people in the industry, and then they follow through on those when they graduate at the end. So I think that's what I'd like to say on the course, Kevin. So I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, so we're going to make a little bit of time for questions in a few minutes. So if anyone would like to ask a question, please fire ahead and put it into the question box, and we'll come back to it after we've talked about each of the courses. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Dr. Diogo O'Connell, and I'll ask her, and she's Program Coordinator of New Media Studies, and I'm going to ask her to talk a little bit about that course.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Hi, everybody. My name is Diogo O'Connell, and I am the Program Coordinator of New Media Studies, and I lecture on the program as well in the field of film studies, documentary studies, Irish cinema, and media production. So this course has a mix of theory and practice. We start off in first year with roughly a kind of 60-40 breakdown, and we move through the 4 years until we are at the reverse in final year of a 60-40. So we start theoretically more heavy and end up production more heavy by fourth year. In terms of theory, the subjects or modules you would study include film studies, cultural studies, critical theory, global media studies, Irish cinema, and documentary. So we cover the whole range of the broad interpretation of media in terms of film, television, and new media. At the practical level, you will take modules in each year in media production, in digital skills, in journalism, and you'll have an opportunity to explore your writing through script writing. And alongside the theory and practice, we have what we call contextual studies in media law, and modules in exploring the music industry. So the type of skills you would develop over the 4 years include having good, strong critical skills, so you can analyze media, all aspects of it, and place it within society and within culture and understand it at that level. And on a practical level, you will develop skills in video production, so audio and visual skills, in journalism, so writing skills, podcasting skills. You will develop skills in a whole range of digital media, including Photoshop, Illustrator, all those kind of software tools that you need to be able to make good content. As Peter laid out in arts management in third year, we have a similar off-campus option in the second semester, whereby you can choose to study abroad through Erasmus, or you can get work experience in the field. So that offers a great opportunity for you to really explore an area that you are particularly interested in, be it travel and cultural exchange, or getting relevant work experience with a view to your career down the line. And then fourth year has a very special project that has just developed this year, whereby each student gets an opportunity to create a big portfolio piece, which will be something that you'll work on for the whole year in your own area of expertise and interest. So that could be a blog, which would involve you working with audiovisual formats, so possibly making a video and a podcast for your blog, designing your graphic design, your text, your writing posts, etc. So that draws on an awful lot of the skills you will have learned over the previous 4 years in the realm of production, writing, visualization, etc. You may decide to make a series of podcasts on a specialist theme, so you'd have the opportunity of making serial podcast and doing all the research, interviewing, recording, editing, and post-production that would involve. You might choose to do what we call a screencast, which will be exploring a specialist topic of your own interest and creating a video by way of education and instruction on that theme. You may decide to do a video essay. So for students who are more academically driven, they may want to explore some theoretical concept around media, film, documentary, whatever it may be, and create a video essay in that context. Or finally, you may want to make a documentary. So the possibilities are very wide-ranging, and the idea behind that project is that it is the culmination of your 4 years of study and an opportunity to draw on all those skills you have, technical skills, creative skills, critical thinking skills, writing skills, and visualization, and then put them all together in a portfolio piece of work that is of industry standard and that you can present to employers at the end. So that in a nutshell is New Media Studies. We have our first graduates just coming to the end of their study, so it's a really new course. It's very cutting edge. We are always evolving and adapting as this field is so new. But the work that's been shown, and some of you may have a look at the online exhibition that will happen later on before the end of this semester, and see some of the work that has been produced to give you an idea of what is possible with New Media Studies. So that's it in a nutshell, and I'm happy to take any questions after, or Kevin will take questions as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Diog. That's brilliant. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to my colleague, Dr. Jakub Buaniaya, who's going to talk about English and Equality Studies.
Hi, thank you. Yes, thinking about English and Equality Studies, we look at three kind of main streams. We look at social research and sociology in the lines of equality studies, and then we would also look at English, but perhaps towards writing skills, so developing writing skills that could then be transferable. And also then along with that, we would be looking at legal studies. So we have a good combination of three very strong and I suppose acquiring three very strong skills that can go forward for you in the future into career paths such as maybe being a social researcher, working for advocacy, like Kevin said, maybe in journalism, maybe in law as well, but also considering new realms of work such as equity, diversity, and inclusion, which also then branches more out into maybe management, human resource management, and so forth. I'm very keen on the idea to have you guys working or thinking about working or orientating yourselves towards non-governmental organizations, maybe also or moving towards policy, so engaging with civic organizations or even governmental transnational organizations as well. That's my kind of keen interest. What we would be looking at on the courses we cover, we look at questions like, you know, what it means to be Irish. Who are the Irish? We consider things like multiculturalism, interculturalism, the different ways in which people can exchange and interact at a micro level, at a macro level as well. We consider things in relation to migration. So we might look at migration studies. We would also be questioning or thinking about aspects relating to environmental issues. I don't know if you came across recently the sea piracy that was released recently on Netflix. It seems great, it seems wonderful. The suggestion there, or what's implied there, is that in actual fact, the impact that we're having on our consumption of fish is creates as much carbon emissions as our flying combined. And then also recently, in line with this, it seems to me that the French government are actually looking to reduce their local flights. So it's really interesting times that we're living in, and perhaps really opportune times for us to make a positive impact and a positive change on the way in which our societies are organized. So I suppose in a way, what we're doing is we're building the knowledge, the foundational knowledge towards being able to incorporate ourselves into a new imaginations or new frontiers of life. Great. Thank you.
That's brilliant. I suppose one of the things a colleague of mine likes to say is that, you know, some of you are going to have in our audience tonight are going to have jobs that haven't even been imagined yet. And the great thing about these courses are that they prepare you for those kind of jobs and the jobs that exist now, the jobs that will persist, the kind of skills that you learn in the humanities course, be it English and Equality Studies or arts management or new media, are transferable skills that will work for you in multiple and diverse industries. And the kind of learning you will do will in IADT, because of its interdisciplinarity, because of its practicality, because it's not an exam focused institution, because it's a hands-on, actual practice-based education that we do, that makes us different to many other colleges and universities in Ireland. We tend to do things rather than, and to learn to think about how we do things rather than just existing in kind of pure theory and pure exams. We make things. And I suppose that's a really opportune moment now to bring in our last speaker, our third year student from New Media Studies, Callie Hardy. So Callie, maybe you could talk to the audience a little bit about what it's like to be a student at IDT.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a third year student at the moment. Obviously, it's changed a lot, the student experience over the last year, but I'd say like the student experience is very, how should I say this? It's like at the moment I'm on placement for my course, and I'm still talking to my friends from the course every day. So there are people that stick with you the whole time. And one thing that also stuck with me through that really struck me when I started the course is that lecturers really want you to succeed. Like it's just a really positive place and a really nice place to learn, because they want you to learn, they want you to succeed, and everyone, even if everyone is very different on campus, like I'm not gonna pretend that you're gonna be best friends with everyone on campus, because that's not how people work at all. But they do want you to feel at home and to be as happy as you can, and that also translated this year through online learning. Yeah, people just want you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And I think that's the best way I can sum up the student experience in ADT.
Brilliant. Thanks, Callie. And I suppose that's a really useful jumping off point to talk a bit about how we've done things this year, because it's an important indicator of what we're like. As I said, we're not an exam-focused institution, so we've managed to do our project and practice-based work as much as we can, in as normal a way as we can. Now, of course, lockdown, level 5 lockdown has got in the way, but we've been able to have a campus presence because we're small. We have 2,500 students. We have about a little bit over 200 staff. So because we're a small community, we've been able, when it was safe and when it is safe, to have students on campus. That's not something other places can boast of. We've also been able to have live and scheduled and timetabled classes that run exactly as we say they're going to run, with exactly the kind of timetable that they're supposed to have. So we've been able to do that and create as much of a normal atmosphere as we can in these really difficult times. And that kind of shows off the ethos we're trying to have in the department and the faculty in the institute, which is one where we are trying to have as kind of three-dimensional and a supportive experience as we can create it for the learners. I think it's worth saying with new media studies, as I said earlier on, our students work in the film studio. With arts management, students and in English and Equality Studies, we have students that are working with other courses. So there are combined modules between arts management and new media, and English and Equality Studies and new media as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to make friends and to develop connections, not just in your course, but across the campus environment. I can speak myself. A very long time ago, I was a student in IDT. Very long time ago, turn of the century. That's how old I am. I can echo what Callie was saying, and I can say as well that it is a life-changing environment. You get to learn alongside artists and psychologists, business people, and people who are aspiring writers, people who want to work in the film industry, people who want to be graphic designers. And that kind of atmosphere, that kind of ethos is something that creative feeling is something that does really permeate the place. Okay, so I'm going to open it to some questions from you guys. But before we do that, maybe, Callie, would you like to say a few words about what it's like to be on placement and Erasmus, to do that kind of study, which is a key component of third year in each of the three courses?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can't really speak for Erasmus. The people who are there on the moment seem to be having a lot of fun, but I can only speak for myself, really. So I guess this year placement was also a bit different because there weren't as many job offers as usual. So a lot of people had the opportunity to work on a project instead. So I know a few friends are working on the college magazine. I know another friend is trying to start a music label. Another one is doing his YouTube channel full time. As for me, I think that's really cool. As for me, I'm doing a more traditional thing, which is completely home-based. So it's remote working, and I'm doing a lot of copywriting for a website and course writing that are about the things that I know about thanks to the course. A bit of social media as well. So it's a bit of everything, really, what I do. I know a few other people are able to go actually go to studios and do work at their placements. And yeah, there's kind of a wide range of the things that you can do, because IDT does give you a list of offers at the beginning of the term that you can pick out from, but you can also look for your own placement if you like to. do get a lot of opportunities, and it's an interesting experience to learn for sure.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. I think that's a really good point. IDT works with, I think, combined across all our courses in the faculty, about 200 placement providers, and we offer students, as Kelly said, the opportunity to select their own, completely go in their own direction, and find a placement provider, and we'll help them secure that placement, or to work with the around 200 employers that have worked with us before, and to secure a placement through that means. The other avenue, as Kelly mentioned, is that especially this year, but in previous years as well, we have enabled students to do a project in lieu of placement. So that means we've had some people who, as Kelly mentioned, set up social media platforms for themselves, for their companies, or have set up media outlets like college radio, magazine, or Twitch channel, things like that. So the placement opportunity is a great opportunity, not just for for learning the work-based skills, but also for the kind of the growth and development you gain by putting your learning into practice. Okay, so I might, while we're waiting for any questions to come in, I might just throw to my colleagues if there was anything else they wanted to add about any of the courses. Peter, we might start with you. Is there anything you'd like to say more about arts management?
You put me on the spot there, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, just thinking in my head. No, I think there's a very diverse range of subjects right across the 4 years. So there is something in a sense for everybody, and like a lot of employers nowadays, they're looking for that kind of well-rounded kind of graduate that has lots of different skills, working in groups, for example, doing presentations, doing a podcast as an assessment, that kind of thing. All of those kind of modern skills that people need to be able to do on the hop. And I think we do a lot of that in the arts management course. So very relevant to the modern workplace is what I would add to the pot there, Kevin.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter. Dio.
Kevin, I just come in just to say a little bit more about the Erasmus option that students can have in third year. So in third year, as well as the project or the work placement, we also have lots of links with European partners. So a number of our students go and spend the second semester of third year studying abroad. The links we have at the moment include Italy, Milan in Italy, Barcelona in Spain, Stuttgart in Germany. We have links with Latvia. We have links, we're developing links with Malta, interestingly, and all the courses that students go to take are taught through English. So it's a great opportunity for travel, for cultural exchange, for cultural experience. And as Callie indicated, the students who've gone abroad seem to be having great fun, and they're making international friends that they will have for life. So that's a really good part of the program, and a great opportunity for those of the students who like to take that option. Just to say, echo what Peter said as well about the diverse skills that you pick up, because employment nowadays is always changing, and particularly in the new media arena, it is always changing. But it's remarkable the technical skills that our fourth years have managed to build over 4 years, along with their production skills and then their creative skills. So it really is a program that builds a huge diverse range of skills for the student, which is what many employment situations are requiring, that you are flexible, that you can hop from, you know, taking a technical role maybe to producing a podcast, etc. And the only other thing I'd add is that we have links with a lot of cultural organisations in Ireland. So we work with the Irish Film Institute in their archive and project work. We also have links with various different competitions. So at the moment, this year, our first and second years are entering a production competition run by Dunleary Rathdown on life in COVID. So rather than the situation we all find ourselves in now hindering creativity among the students, it's actually exploded their creativity, where they're telling stories from within their 5K, in their bubble, etc. And a hugely imaginative and diverse range of stories are emerging from that. So there are ample opportunities to explore through your coursework, but also extracurricular activities and links that we have with external bodies, where you can get your work produced and then screened and exhibited beyond the college. So there were just a couple of other points that I'd like to add.
Thanks, Teog. That's brilliant. Jakub, we'll come to you in 1 second. We just have 2 really good questions that have just come in. The first question is, how many hours does the arts management course have per week? And I'd say this about all the courses. All 3 of them have around about 18 hours. That varies a little bit. It does range between 18 and 16 across the years. So that's the story for all 3 of them. It depends. We try our best to have a 4-day week. It's not always possible. But we do try our best to try and facilitate that. Sometimes it works out that you've 3 half days and 2 long days, so that there's always some kind of mitigation to things like that. And then the second question, also about arts management, is how many people apply for arts management each year? So each of the courses, because as you're learning, anybody who's in 6th year CAO is a very complicated thing, so it's a little bit hard to discuss, but there are 40 places on New Media Studies and Arts Management. There are 25 on English and Equality Studies. The thing I say to you is, if you really want to do it, put it first choice. That's your best weapon in your arsenal to make sure that you secure the place on the course you want. The points range for the courses is quite different. Last year was a very strange year because of calculated grades and all of those things. So in general terms, the arts management course would come in somewhere around 250, and New Media Studies would come somewhere in around 300 on average over the last couple of years. But you know, it varies from year to year about how many people apply in total, but there are 40 places for arts management, 40 for new media, and 25 for English and Equality. Okay, so just one more question that's really useful. How many mature student places are there on English and Equality Studies? They're all the one, so there are 25 places in total. So there isn't a separation between that for mature students and students coming from Leaving Cert. It's all part of the one. The benefit for a mature student who's applying is that you get an early offer. So you get an offer in July. So the thing to do is to apply early, and then you get your place early. The other question there is quite similar. Are there reserved places for the arts managers for mature students? No, but they're offered first. Okay, I'm going to throw to Jakub quickly if you have anything else to add about English and Equality Studies.
Sorry, my mic was mute. Not hugely. What I would say is what I would like to kind of give you an idea of is maybe the subjects that are covered that are outside of my discipline as well. So we would cover things like critical theory, modern English, employment law, the history of equality law, social justice movements, obviously urban literatures, I think very importantly, research methodologies. So not just the methods themselves, but thinking about how they're applied. So that would also incorporate aspects relating to maybe ethical considerations and ethics in fieldwork. which is growing as well, obviously, with new developments in gene therapy, in other aspects of our lives. But also then leading on from that is thinking philosophically. So really deeply thinking about the subject matter and allowing that to cultivate or form our ideas or opinions or ways in which we're going to critically engage with issues that are pertinent to contemporary times and contemporary life.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jakub. I think that's really important. And yeah. Actually, we just got a question in there. What's a day in the life like of an English and Equality Studies student? And I think what Jakub has said there addresses some of the kind of the modules that you would do. And in general, you would do 50-50 English modules and Equality Studies modules. So you'd study one in law and social theory, and maybe one in or a couple in English as well within the week. So that's the way it would generally work. And a day in the life for any of our students would be split between lectures and the kind of the seminar or lab class that happens in relation to each of those afterwards. So there's a good mix of like big lectures that might have 80 students in a combined class. So if, for example, in arts management, you would have a class combined with new media studies, there would be 80 students there for the lecture, and then in the practical, the lab or the seminar, there'd only be maybe 25 or 20 people in that seminar group. So you get a lot of face-to-face good contact time with the lecturers. And I suppose it's worth saying that as well, that in IDT, one of the great strengths we have, because we're small, is that we get to follow your academic career closely. So you get feedback from us as you go through the years. We, because there's only 40 in each class group, we get to be able to nurture you as you go through those 4 years and learn what you need through those 4 years in terms of encouragement and teaching and facilitation. So from that point of view, it's a great place to learn because you're getting more contact than you might do anywhere else. I suppose one of the last things that unless there's any more questions that come in a few minutes, that I'll say is that one of the great things about IDT is its size, and also because of that, the contactability of people like myself or the lecturers is much higher than it might be in other institutions. And with that in mind, if you have a question that you don't get to ask today, there's multiple different avenues that you can use to chat to us. One of them is the chat bot on our website. If you click into that and put your question in there, it'll come to myself or Jakub or Peter or Diog, and we'll get back to you as soon as you can, as soon as I can or we can. We do our damnedest to answer any queries that come directly. So you can find my email on the website, and you can always send me an email as well. I see we have one more question in, a really good one from Aaron, asking, do first years get paired with older students at the beginning of the year for help? We have a special program called First Year Matters, and part of that program is that we have students who have been through the years who are in kind of leadership roles, who take on and explain to a group of students what it's like to be an IDT and help them through the year. So we don't have exactly a buddy system, but we have something a bit like that. Okay, I hope that answers that question.
Kevin, I was just wondering, did Callie do an elective? We have a very unique opportunity to do electives in the college.
We, in the Humanities, our electives for new media are in 4th year. So I know on the other side of the house they're in 2nd year, so it's just slightly different. So Callie has that coming next year. But in our course in English and Equality, and in new media we have the opportunity for elective study. That means you choose a course, and that can be with a different course within ours is slightly different from the other side, so it's within the faculty. So for example, in new media studies, you take a course, you choose to take a course in either media and climate change or 20th century screen media. And in English and Equality Studies, you have the opportunity to take courses like technology and culture, and various other courses, media and cultural identity, I think, in fourth year as well. So there's great opportunity to kind of go beyond, go outside and study in a different kind of discipline within our courses.
Okay, there's a question in for Callie. What is Callie's favorite part about the New Media Studies course so far?
My favorite part, well, I really enjoy music industry courses, classes. I think they're a big favorite among students. Like the first, I think people like them so much that they added it in first year after we had it. So yeah, definitely that part, and I really enjoyed as well getting to use the radio studio to do a podcast and radio podcasting.
Thanks, Callie. Yeah, and the mature students, because we had a couple of questions there, just so you know, mature students make up 10% of our student numbers. So it's, you know, hugely welcoming of mature students. And I think the year before last, our president of our SU was actually one of our mature students, and he did a fantastic job, as they all do. But yeah, so we just love everybody. Everybody is welcome.
Absolutely, and I think the key thing I'd say is if you're a mature student and you're interested in applying, being in there and being in there early is the best thing to do.
Absolutely. And I can, if anyone has any more questions. We are going to be running, just so you know, we'll be running some change of mind, last minute CAO events during the month of June. They'll be running just after the Leaving Cert ends, if you are sitting a Leaving Cert this year. So they'll be running the week of the 21st of June. So they'll be up on the website shortly. You can register for your interest there. So that's there, and yeah, I've no other news. So
Okay, well that's brilliant. I suppose as I said earlier on, if anyone does want to get in contact, my email is there on the website. You can also use the chat bot, and that will get to us. And we're really delighted to answer your questions about the courses or about college life or about anything in between.
absolutely, and you can get me at info@iadt.ie, and yeah, so we try and answer all our emails in the same day. So yeah, so it's great to have you all, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you to Callie, our student ambassador, and to Kevin and his team, Jakob, and I think Diogo and Peter had to leave a little earlier. So thank you all.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks. Bye.